Hello again YouTube, Pan here, and I'm back again. Apologies for the lack of video last week. Life at home had got a little bit interesting. Not to go into too much detail, but we had something of a new arrival come, which has been eating up a lot of my time, but in the best possible way. So, what's in the purse this week? It's a British coin. It is another beastie. It's the Griffin of Edward III. So we have here the 2-ounce version, and this is, if I'm honest, not the finest example of it. So this is first of all a bullion rather than a proof, and also if you look very close around some of the edges you might be able to pick up on some discoloration, possibly even milk spotting going on there. As with other Queen's bees, it seems to be that this seems to reflect the edges first rather than the face. So again, this is one where I'm glad to have it, I'm glad it's part of my collection, but I am not kidding myself that it has tremendous numismatic value because it's got some imperfections. Again, like all the other 2 ounces, it's a nice chunky feeling in the hand. Again, it's something about having edges that just really brings that home, and I have to say that this particular beast design is wonderful. It is really lovely. It's one of my favourites. I mean, I'm looking forward to getting the Falcon of the Plantagenets, but this one, I think, along with the Dragon, for me, has real makings of a contender for the best of the bunch. So far, at least, anyway. So, before I get into too much detail about the Queen's Beast, because we've all seen them, we've all heard about them ad infinitum, let's talk a little bit about Edward III. So Edward III was famously inaccurately portrayed in the Hollywood blockbuster Braveheart. He was sort of the evil, slightly lecherous old English king who decided to go off and crush the Scots. True as Edward III, he did try to subjugate Scotland, but he wasn't very good at it, and in large part that's because he had spent quite a lot of his time subjugating Wales. So Wales, as anybody who's spent some time touring it will know, has some of the most impressive medieval castles in all of Europe, and when I say impressive, I mean, impressive can mean different things, but I typically mean it, at least in this context, to mean castles that are very, very well fortified, very well designed to repel attack with, kind of great big huge walls, multiple levels of curtains, and very elaborate forms of defence systems. If you ever want a lengthy conversation about this, get me drunk and get me talking about arrow loops, but we'll leave it at that for now. And basically he made a series of these, kind of in the Roman style. You make a series of very, very strong fortifications, and then you can march between them, and you're very, very well protected against attacks. People can't suddenly, sort of spring surprises on you at night because you're sleeping in a gigantic freaking castle. But the thing about castles is they A, take a long time to build, and B, are flipping expensive. Like, even by the standards of, if you're ever a king, building a castle is still a massive expense, and he made loads of them. Edward III also nicknamed Edward Longshanks, and this was actually a very important part for how he was so successful when it came to things like medieval battles and stuff, was that he had a disconcerting tendency to show up far, far sooner than anybody thought possible. Longshanks, translated into modern English, basically means long legs. And so he would basically arrive at a battlefield or outmaneuver his opponents just because he would get there like days ahead of when everyone thought he could get there. Which is pretty impressive. And obviously that's not just himself. That means that he was able to get his army there as well. But I guess the leaders take all the glory and all the credit for everything. even back then. Actually, this is an interesting thing. I'm not quite sure what castle is depicted here in the middle of it. Certainly it's not an entire castle, that's probably just a bit of a keep. Would not surprise me if that was maybe Carmarthen or one of the other Welsh castles. I'll see if I can Google that. If I do, I'll put a little note in the text at the bottom here. So that's what I'm looking at this week, and I'll admit I've got a slightly separate talking point looking at this one, because I have been thinking a lot about silver and gold lately. And in addition to the 2-ounce silver, I also have the 1/4 ounce gold version, and I have to say, oh goodness, it looks good. I had enough money to get a 1/4 ounce of gold, so I decided to get a QB, and this one seemed to be the best one that I could find available. And very, very happy with it, very pretty. I need to get a proper capsule for this. Here we have the Queen's face. Love that rich golden colour. Just look at that. It's completely screwing with the white balance on the camera, you can tell. Very nice. And the thing is, so when I first started collecting, I have to say I was more inclined to get the silver than the gold. Because you get the silver, you have a nice big lump of something and you feel like, you've really got something there. And that worked absolutely fine for like the first 6 months or so. But now I'm starting to think that maybe I've been shortchanging myself, because by getting mostly silver and just getting occasional pieces of gold, I wind up getting very, very small bits of gold that don't quite satisfy that, kind of, I want something chunky in my hand kind of feeling. And I'm starting to think that actually maybe it might be worth focusing more on getting gold and getting on larger, chunkier bits. So then, kind of, first of all, it means it will make, storing my stack considerably easier. Not that it's a problem at the moment, but, over the years it could become a problem. And also means that it can, kind of feel that nice tactile feeling of having something nice and lumpy, that feeling that, it really warrants the word bullion. Whereas I hold this and the word bullion just seems like a little bit of an exaggeration. But unfortunately, the current situation means that silver being near a 3 or 4 year low in terms of price means that now would be the worst possible time to try and cash in my silver and convert it to gold. So I'm just going to have to sit tight on that for now. But what am I going to do with my precious metals budget moving forwards? That I'm still deciding. But still. In the meantime, I have to say I am very, very happy with a couple of very, very pretty coins here. Mythical beast for a reasonably well accomplished king who was something of an architect. Alright, bye for now.